How deep can Colby and I get in our bag to draft the best Mariners roster without being able to take any of the franchise's biggest names? We'll find out coming up here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Thursday, August 28th, 2025. This is Tony Gonzalez and Colby Patnode for the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. And as always, if you want to hear from me and Colby even more and help support the show, you can check out our Patreon. All you have to do to check that out is click the link in the description of this episode. So on today's show, Colby and I are going to draft all-time Mariners rosters without being able to take any of the most prominent players in the franchise's history. We'll explain more later on when we kick off the draft. And you're probably thinking, guys, isn't this an off-season idea? And to that I say, shut up. We can do what we want. But also, in all seriousness, there's no game tonight, and we're going to spend tomorrow's show getting you set for the upcoming road trip. So we wanted to do something fun today. But before we get into the draft, we are going to talk a little bit about this current Mariners ball club. And while we obviously don't want to get too ahead of ourselves on this, Colby, I know that you do have some thoughts on how the Mariners could put together their playoff roster, specifically in regards to guys like Harry Ford. So floor is yours.
Yeah. Maybe not so much as thoughts, more of like questions as we approach the time where it's appropriate to start thinking about this. The Mariners are in good position to make the playoffs. As for whether that's, as the 3 seed or the 6, I don't know. But they're in pretty good position right now. And it's something to think about, particularly when you don't have a game to talk about, and you kind of have this free show in the middle of the week. It feels like a good time to kind of just check in. And there's some questions I have about, how many pitchers do you carry? How many rotations members do you carry? You get a deeper bench as a result. So this is really thoughts about a potential wild card series. So assuming you're not one of the top 2 seeds, which they're not going to be, it's more than likely you're going to play in that wild card round, and obviously where you play matters. And you may or may not be able to line things up however you want. Anyways, you might have to win a handful of those last 5 or 6 games to even get into the playoffs. So you might just have to use your guys. But if we assume that the Mariners can line up, their rotation or whatever, however they want, and they can kind of make sure everybody's rested the way they want them to be rested. I think there's some interesting questions involved. For example, if you are the 6 seed and, or the 5, doesn't really matter. If you're on the road, and you are able to kind of line up your rotation, however, is there any reason for Luis Castillo to be on the roster? Because you only need 3 starters for a 3-game series. And if you're on the road, you're certainly not giving one of those starts to Luis Castillo if you can help it. Again, you might not be able to.
Sure.
But does he really provide much for you out of the bullpen? You think you can stick Castillo in the bullpen and his stuff is going to play up? Right now, Castillo can't throw a strike unless it's right down the middle of the plate. That's not a guy you trust. He's been bad away from T-Mobile Park. He's been bad in his last 3 outings. He's got 4 or 5 more to kind of right the ship, and we can have a different conversation about this.
To your point, to further your point a little bit as well, it's kind of a similar thing to what we talked about with Robbie Ray a few years ago. Suddenly having a veteran who hasn't pitched out of the bullpen, asking him to do that. And again, you have some of the strike throwing issues on top of that could easily go sideways.
Again, Castillo, he could, right the ship here. He's still got 4 or 5 starts, and it's only been 3 starts. And for the most part, he's been pretty good this year, but you kind of have to value what you've seen lately. And as we sit here on August 28th, Luis Castillo shouldn't be anywhere near the mound in a playoff game. especially when it's only a 3-game series. You don't need a 4-man rotation until an LCS. You really don't. So it's kind of one of those things like, do you even carry him? Is there enough value there out of the bullpen to even carry him? Because you're probably going to carry Bryce Miller out of the bullpen. There's some value to Miller's stuff playing up in the bullpen. There's a decent chance Emerson Hancock is going to make your playoff roster, which gross, but that's what you get for not having another reliever and adding one at the deadline. So, like, how many pitchers do you really need in a 3-game series before you can reset your roster again? 10,
so
11?
How many did they have last time?
They had 12. I looked it up.
Okay.
They had 12, but they didn't carry their number 5 starter, Marco Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Right now, the way things are going, Castillo is your number 5. So you could sit here and talk about like, well, he's the veteran. So
you feel better about Miller pitching out of the bullpen than Castillo.
Yeah, that's
I guess what it ultimately comes down to is like, do you trust Castillo more than Taylor Saucedo or Jackson Kowar or whoever's going to be that back end?
Well, my question is
of the roster reliever.
But how many pitchers do I even need to carry?
Right.
I'm carrying 3 starters. Do I need 8 guys in the bullpen? Like, is there any scenario where I'm going to give Taylor Saucedo or Jackson Kowar or Casey
odds
Legarina?
are in a 3-game series, whether it's position players, whether it's pitchers, you're not going to use every single guy.
No, but again, what's more valuable to me? This guy I'm never going to use in any kind of serious position, or an extra pinch runner, some extra versatility. So I want to take a guy out of the lineup. I can do that even if I don't have like hypothetically, right? Let's say I want to take, we'll just go right to it. Let's say we're facing a lefty, right? And Mitch Garver's DHing. Well, we chase the lefty, in comes a really good righty. You don't want Mitch Garver taking that at bat, but he's your backup catcher. If you take him out of the game and then Cal gets hurt and can't continue, you're in a playoff spot without a catcher. So instead of carrying Saucedo, who I'll never trust, or instead of carrying Kowar, who I'll never trust, instead of asking Luis Castillo to pitch out of the bullpen for the first time in his career, who's pitching really poorly right now, and again, that might change in 5 weeks, but for now, instead of having those guys, why don't I just bring Harry Ford with me? And I have a third catcher, so at the very least, I feel comfortable pinch hitting Luke Raley for Mitch Garver in the 6th inning. Because look, if Cal gets hurt, I have Harry Ford, and I can at least have a real catcher back there. Where this year we've seen Dan Wilson refuse to take Garver out of the lineup when he's the DH, even against tough righties, because he's terrified of not having that catcher if something happens to Cal. By the way, in their last playoff series, the Mariners carried 3 catchers. So it's something to think about. They have the potential to carry 6-7 relievers and their 3 starters and have a 7-man bench, a 6-man bench, if they so choose. And when you start looking at like, well, who are the 7th, 8th relievers they might bring, or even the 6th, 7th, 8th relievers they might bring, and you start talking about, is Gregory Santos healthy? Is Taylor Saucedo? Is it Jackson Kowar? Is it Casey Legamina? Like, who do you trust out of that group in a playoff series? The answer is none of them.
Right.
You're never going to want to use that pitcher ever.
Yeah. The other thing though is that I think teams in general stockpile arms, especially now it's traditional extra innings rules. So there's no because with the automatic runner, you feel like, all right, we're probably not getting past the 12th at the most extreme. But in the playoffs, as you saw firsthand in person, a game could go as deep as 18 innings.
Yes, the 1 in 5,000 shot that a game goes 18 innings, which, by the way, the Mariners carried 12 pitchers in that series and they still covered it. And you just send out the next day starting pitcher, blah, blah, blah. Like, you work through it. Like, you can't carry more than 13, but there's no reason to carry 13. There really isn't, because right now, again, you carry 13 in the regular season because you have 5 starters. You probably shouldn't be carrying 13 right now. If we're being honest, you don't have 8 good relievers. So why not take advantage and have that extra bat? But there's no limit to the number of pitchers you can have in terms of the negative, or on the downside, right? You can't have more than 13, but you can have 11 pitchers if you want. You can have 10 pitchers if you want. And when I look, there's not 10 guys in this organization right now that I trust to, give playoff innings to. And pretty much every inning in the playoffs is high leverage when you really think about it. Some are higher leverage than others, obviously, but you only get a couple opportunities to advance in the playoffs. So every inning, every out counts. And so when I look at this, I go, look, is there any reason to carry Luis Castillo? Is there any reason to carry more than, the 5 guys that we talked about yesterday in the pen, plus a Bryce Miller, plus, maybe a Castillo, just in case you want some extra length there, or plus, is there really a reason to carry more than 10 pitchers in a 3-game series when you're going to reset the rosters after,
each round?
After yeah. So there really isn't any reason to have more than 10 or 11. You want to go 11 to be safe, fine. 12 is kind of overkill because again, I can use those extra spots. You know what this team really needs? They need a late game base running threat. Samad Taylor, he probably carries more value to me in the playoffs than Taylor Saucedo would or Jackson Coar would. And honestly, probably he carries more value, him or Leo Rivas or whatever, right? They probably carry more value to me than Luis Castillo is likely to, unless the game goes 15 innings, like you said. Yeah. So again, this can completely change, and it probably will, because the odds that the Mariners are going to be able to just rest Kirby, Gilbert, and Wu and just have them ready for a 3-game series, pretty slim. And so you might just have to throw Castillo in game 1. You might not have a choice, but again, I don't think Castillo should be a lock for this first round playoff roster if you can line up your pitching how you want. I don't think you need to carry him in the bullpen. I think that's kind of a wasted roster spot. I think you need to seriously consider carrying Harry Ford because of the way that Dan likes to maneuver his DH when Garver's in there. He doesn't want to take him out of the game. And yeah, it's terrifying to have Harry Ford, a rookie, be the catcher. But A, that only happens if Cal gets hurt. And B, it's even more terrifying to have, runners on second and third with 1 out facing Brian Abreu, and you don't feel like you can go to Dominic Canzone or Luke Raley off the bench because, oh no, what if Cal Raleigh takes a foul tip and breaks his hand in the next inning? Like, you have to take advantage of those situations when they come because you might not get another one. So I think Harry Ford, they really need to consider having him on the playoff roster. And if they're going to do that, they probably should get his feet wet in the regular season before they just fling him onto the playoff roster. I think they need to carry 3 catchers. I think they should carry 3 catchers. And sorry, you can't convince me that Blake Hunt is a better option to carry on a playoff roster than Harry Ford. So I think Ford should be on the playoff roster. I don't know that Castillo should be. Again, depends on how everything lines up after the last 3 or 4 games of the regular season.
So one thing to keep in mind here is that the deadline for postseason eligibility is at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time on August 31st, which is Sunday?
Yep.
So if they're going to add Harry Ford to the roster, they might have to make a decision on that here in the next couple of days and add him to the 40-man. There are exceptions that can be made, but it's a little complicated. Typically, the petitions that you have to send in to Major League Baseball to have a player added who wasn't on the 40-man roster before August 31st, typically those do get approved. But just because there is some gray area there and there is some complications with that, just to be safe, I would say that they would need to add Harry now before August 31st, and anyone else as well, like Michael Fulmer, who they just picked up, if they want to test him out, and if he looks decent enough for him or for them to consider him for the postseason roster, they probably want to add him before September as well.
Yeah, not to mention you're going to add Harry Ford to the 40-man this winter anyways. He's Rule 5 eligible. You have plenty of other levers you can pull. Like you have 6-7 guys you can easily DFA right now to add him to the 40-man. So. And just because you add him to the 40-man doesn't mean he accrues service time or doesn't mean you have to call him up. So there's really no reason for them not to.
So yeah, a lot to think about and a lot to consider here. And we might see the Mariners tip their hand on a couple things here in the next few days. So keep an eye out. All right, we are going to switch gears here and do our all-time Mariners draft with a twist in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by Upside.
Are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code SEASON. That's SEASON and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. And at first I thought it was too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code SEASON for a limited time 25 cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code SEASON. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. For instant reactions following every Mariners game, be sure to tune in to the Mariners postcast with Anderson Hurst and Christopher Crawford, available on both the Locked On Mariners YouTube and podcast feeds. Locked On has also put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcasts even better. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes the survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Either scan the QR code on the screen, click the link in the description. All right. So it's almost football season, which means fantasy football, which Colby and I both love. And so in honor of that, we're going to do a little fantasy draft of our own today, an all-time Mariners draft. But instead of the boring, I'm taking Griffey, I'm taking Ichiro back and forth that we could do, we are going to take the biggest names in the franchise's history off the board to force us to go a little bit deeper into our bag. So, Colby, lay out the parameters for us.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. We'll be going position by position. We'll start with catcher. If I have the first pick, Ty will get the second pick of catchers, and then he'll get the first pick of first baseman, and then I'll get the first pick of second. So you get back-to-back picks. We actually didn't even decide who's picking first. But so that way it's fair. We're going to draft
heads or tails?
Tails.
Hey, Siri, flip a coin. Hey, Siri, flip a coin. Cool. Siri doesn't want to work with me. Great. This is awesome. This is great stuff. Thanks, Siri. Hey, Siri, flip a coin. Nope. It's just not going to do it. All right. We're going to flip a coin on Google.
Anyways, while you do that.
Yeah.
We're just going to go by position so that it's fair and it's uniform and it's easy for you guys to track. Ty and I will also.
It's tails, by the way. You win.
Okay. Doesn't really help me. I don't know if it's good to win or not, but
yeah.
We're going to go position by position so that it's fair. Ty and I will be able to challenge each other. Like if we think that like, hey, that guy's a little too, popular or whatever, fine. I mean, the general rule is no Mariners Hall of Famers, no like definitely should be Mariner Hall of Famers, no Major League Baseball Hall of Famers. So you're not going to get tricky and sneak Adrian Beltre into this as Ty crosses him off his list. But it's just kind of a fun way to be like, hey, remember this guy? And he was actually really good. And so it's kind of an underrated team, but doesn't have to be that. So just for fun, it really is just a time killer and something that we can do late in the season when the Mariners don't have a game to play, and we could just talk about some older players. Older for us, you guys, like, I don't know how many guys from the 80s Ty has on his list, but I'm going to guess not a lot because I know I don't have a lot.
Sure. All right. Well, you get the first pick here. Who's your catcher?
So I think I'm okay here.
Okay.
I don't think you're going to challenge this. I'm going to go with Kenji Jojima.
Okay.
Remember Kenji? He had a couple really good seasons, 20 home run power as a catcher, pretty decent defender behind the dish. It was a short time in Seattle, but he was a really solid player, and he's kind of one of the more underrated Japanese-born position players who's ever come over. Like, it's weird that we don't talk about that guy nearly as much. He was a good player for the Mariners, and he had a couple really solid seasons, and I feel like we as a collective group kind of forget about him a little bit, but he rock solid player, rock solid catcher for a couple of years, and again, 25 home run power, good player.
All right, so for my catcher, I'm gonna go Tom Murphy.
Okay.
One of the more underrated catchers and underrated players in the rebuild into the contention window period of this current Mariners regime. Just unfortunately couldn't stay healthy, but had a couple of years where he really hit the hell out of the ball. He was pretty good defensively until the injuries just became too much for him to bear. So yeah, Tom Murphy, that's my catcher.
Yeah, Murphy was my backup in case you struck. My number 2 was Mike Zunino, and I was like, Ty might challenge that one. So Murphy was my emergency. So I like that pick.
First base should be pretty obvious who I'm going with. Can you guess?
Is it Ty France?
It's a Russell the Muscle.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Going Russell Branyan, who was awesome in his 2 stints with the Mariners.
Sure.
Super underrated, dude.
I thought maybe you'd save him for DH, but okay.
Yeah, no, I'm going Russell the Muscle. So are you going Ty France?
I am not. Ty France is nowhere on my list, unfortunately.
Okay.
Sorry, Ty.
All right.
I think you might challenge this one, but I'll throw it out there, and I have backup, so I'm ready to go.
John Olerud.
Yeah. I mean, dude was a borderline Hall of Famer. So
let me hear your backup.
Richie Sexson. And
I'll let you have Richie's better for this.
Okay, I'll do Richie. That's fine. Richie Sexson was a really good hitter. Like I know that it didn't end well here, but his first 2 years, he was great. Like that's a free agent signing that absolutely worked. Yeah, it ended poorly, but who cares? You got 2 years of great production from him, and he was 35 home runs and Big Sexy. I mean, that's a great nickname. The original Big Sexy. So yeah, Richie Sexson, man, he was an underrated hitter here. Again, yeah, he struck out a little bit. Yeah, it didn't end well, but the 2 years that he was here, he was very, very good. And I feel like people just remember the end, like end times Richie Sexson, who wasn't good. But those first 2 seasons, that was one of the Mariners' best, off-season acquisitions ever, which says a lot more about their lack of off-season activity than anything else. But Richie Sexson was really good. If you guys don't believe me, go look up the numbers. Like Richie Sexson had a very nice start to his Mariner career.
Yeah. All right. Who's your second baseman?
I'm going to throw these guys out there so you can tell me they're eligible or not. Because I feel like if one of them is, the other one is. Is Robinson Cano or Brett Boone eligible for this? Or are they too close to?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Then I'm going to go.
If we're not going to make John Olerud eligible for this, then we're not making Robinson Cano.
I might have some more questions down the line then, but we'll figure that out.
All right. So who did you say?
I said Mark McLemore.
Okay, I like it.
Yes, just can play everywhere, steals a ton of bags, makes contact, gets on base. Not going to hit a lot of power, but you trust him. He's just solid, just a solid player. Probably the best utility guy in Mariners history. Dylan Moore might be second on that list, by the way. But we don't have a utility spot today. Second base is kind of thin once you take out Cano and Brett Boone. Didn't want to go Harold Reynolds because honestly, I just never saw Harold Reynolds play. So it feels a little disingenuous. So I'm going to go Mark McLemore.
Well, this might come as a surprise, but there aren't many great options here at second base for the Seattle Mariners, especially once you eliminate guys like Robinson Cano and Brett Boone from the list. I'm going to go Jose Lopez.
Oh, okay. I like it.
Yeah. Made an all-star team 1 year.
Yeah.
Had just a solid career. Was never like a great hitter or anything like that, but just
couldn't field, but he could hit 20 home runs.
Yeah, but he etched out a pretty solid career in Seattle. I mean, he was here for 6 years. Something like that. So, yeah, I'll go Jose Lopez here.
Did you give any thought to Joey Cora? Because he was my
Yeah, but like I didn't really watch Joey Cora play. I'm 29 years old. So
I mean, there's a few guys here that didn't watch play, but I know that they were like really good.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
Cora,
it's the same
there's
thing.
There's not a lot of good options at second base.
It's the same thing as Harold Reynolds. I just didn't really see Harold Reynolds play. So
yeah,
I'm more so going to go with the guys that I'm familiar with that I watch.
Right. If it was just strictly underrated, like Alvin Davis would have been the first baseman we thought of, but he's a Mariner Hall of Famer, so he's not eligible. But Alvin Davis, in terms of like greats of the franchise, is somehow underrated, especially by people our age who didn't really watch him play. Dude was a really good hitter, but again, he's a Mariner Hall of Famer, so guys like that aren't eligible. So we do have guys who we didn't see play, or at least I do have a couple of them. But I know their numbers were good. I know that in those lean years in the 80s, they were some of the bright spots. It's just they're not going to be super well represented here on a list done by a couple of people who didn't start watching baseball until like the 2000s. So keep that in mind.
So are we going in the proper order here? Like, is third base next?
I have third base next. Yeah.
Okay. I'm taking Gino.
Okay. That's interesting.
Good vibes only, baby.
I feel like I could challenge that. But also, you could. 2.5 years. So, like,
he's also never made an all-star team with the club. I know he's a fan favorite.
He is.
But I feel like it's still a little bit different than like Boone and Olerud.
I don't know, because Boone was only good here for like 3 years too. So is Olerud, but I'll give it to you. Like, all right. I'm not gonna say no to Gino.
Yeah,
the good Gino. Say it, Ty. The best Gino in the history of Seattle sports.
I mean, yes, but that doesn't mean. But that doesn't mean anything about the other Gino. That doesn't mean anything about the other Gino.
No, I suppose technically we didn't say no current Mariners, but we probably should have. But whatever, you can have it.
Whatever. All right. Who's your third baseman?
Mike Blowers.
Okay, yeah, that's who I was going with. If you blocked my Gino pick.
Yeah, Blowers, underrated career. Obviously, kind of a fan favorite for a different reason than playing. I hope he's doing okay health wise, but he was a really good hitter for some of the best lineups we've ever seen. Like, he got overshadowed by Tino and Edgar and Griffey and Jay and A-Rod. Eventually, like, dude was a really good hitter, and nobody cared because he was like the 5th best hitter on a team. Like, Blowers' numbers on like today, he'd be a multi-time All-Star and probably an MVP, like top 10 MVP guy a couple times. But fortunately, he played in the steroid era with, a bunch of dudes in front of you who are like literal Hall of Famers. You just got overlooked, man. Sucks. But Blowers had a really good career.
All right, so we will pick up with your shortstop pick and the rest of the draft in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you once again by Gametime. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a Mariners game, either by yourself or with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and suddenly you realize, I want to be in the stands. Well, that's exactly where Gametime comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Gametime makes it possible. Gametime makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch, and they've got incredible last minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. We are doing our all-time Mariners, I don't know, what would you call this? Under the radar draft?
Underappreciated, maybe?
Sure. I mean,
that
makes my Gino pick a little weirder because Gino is definitely not underappreciated.
Call it what you want. No superstars, no Hall of Famers, no team Hall of Famers.
Yeah. Basically, we just wanted to do a fun draft that didn't include, Griffey, Felix, Ichiro, etc.
We need to save those type of drafts for the inevitable lockout of 2026. So this one's a little bit.
We also might rehash this one as well.
We might have to, guys. That's going to be rough. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So your shortstop pick.
Yeah, a couple ways I could go here. I feel like I know who the right answer is, but I'm going to go with
pick A-Rod.
I mean, not a baseball Hall of Famer, not a Mariner Hall of Famer. Underappreciated by Mariner fans.
Very much underappreciated by Mariners
I felt like that didn't quite fit the spirit of the challenge, unfortunately.
It doesn't, but yeah.
But technically, I think I could pick him based on the layout I did.
Yeah.
Again, it doesn't really feel like in spirit. So I think the correct answer is this guy, or the guy I'm not picking is the correct answer, and I think you'll probably end up picking him. But for me personally, Carlos Guillen was a really good shortstop for the Mariners. Yeah. And I know that he really didn't break out until he left for Detroit, but it's a switch hitter, pretty good defender, had some good solid years for the Mariners in those early 2000s. I just feel like he's not really talked about all that much. He did what Cameron did, right? He came in after a legend, a superstar, and he wasn't quite as good as Cameron, but he filled in admirably and he kind of helped ease that. And also Guillen was a big part of that Randy Johnson trade. So he had kind of a double whammy here, just like Mike Cameron. Not only was he replacing a superstar, he was in a trade that involved another superstar to get here in the first place. And I just thought he handled that really well. So I think Carlos Guillen is a guy that we don't give enough love to as a fan base. So I'm going to pick him here, even though I think there's a better answer. And I think you're probably about to take it.
I'm going to go Brennan Ryan.
Oh, okay.
Who were you thinking?
Gene Segura.
Yeah. But I want to show some love to Brennan Ryan. Defense, baby.
Yeah.
You know, and his time in Seattle, I think is looked upon not super fondly by most Mariners fans because he didn't hit, right? He just did not hit. He was not a good offensive player at all, but he was so good defensively. And despite being basically utterly garbage at the plate, he was still able to put together a 3-win season in Seattle by FanGraph standards. Like, that is pretty incredible. That shows you just how good the glove was. So yeah, Brennan Ryan's my pick at shortstop. Yeah, Segura probably the better pick overall. But yeah, I like the Brennan Ryan.
It's our list, so we can take whoever we want. Yeah. I also had Brad Miller as an emergency, just in case.
Okay, I like it.
You know how much I love Brad Miller back in the. Well, maybe you don't, because it might have been before we started working. But I was a big Brad Miller believer back in the day.
So here's the question: are we doing 3 outfield spots, just outfield, or are we doing left field, center field, right field?
I broke it up personally, but I think you can take any outfielder as long as they could concede. Like, you can't stick a Russell Branyan in center field, right? Like, you're going to put Branyan. I know you already took him, but if you're going to put Branyan, you have to put him in left field or right field, that type of thing. But I actually broke it up by like position. So,
would you block Raul Ibanez?
He's number 1 on my left field list. I think he's underrated by this fan base, so I think you can have him.
Okay, I'm taking Raul then. Raul should be in the Mariners Hall of Fame.
All right, I'll go to a very underrated player in Mariners history, Randy Winn.
Oh, that was my next pick. That was my next pick.
At center field. Yeah, nice try.
Yeah.
I knew that he was going to either be my center fielder or my left fielder.
Yeah.
Randy Winn is just an incrable player. One of the more underrated players of the early 2000s, really. Just had an incredible career. He was great with Seattle, constantly overshadowed by Ichiro. Hard not to be, especially in those early 2000s. But Randy Winn was a difference maker. And if he had been around on that 2001 team, I think they win the World Series. Like, that, he was that big of a difference in left field. So Randy Winn for me is one of the more underrated, underappreciated players. It wasn't a long time he was here. I think 2 years, maybe 3. But man, he was very, very good and just never really got the love he deserved from Mariner fans, from Tampa fans, from Giants fans.
Yeah.
Dude was just underrated his entire career and just constantly overshadowed by, bigger stars in his own outfield. So Randy Winn is definitely going to be on this team without question.
All right, you better not take my next pick here after taking Randy from me.
Well, I don't know if this is challengeable or not.
Okay.
Franklin Gutierrez. Never made an all-star team.
I'll let you have it.
Death decline things. Man, if he could have just stayed healthy, if his, was it ankylosing spondylitis or whatever that thing is that he had. Sure. If that had gone away, obviously he was elite with the glove. He had some really solid offensive seasons in there that kind of get overlooked because of how good he was defensively. But that dude might be the best defensive center fielder I've ever seen. And yeah, I watched Mike Cameron. I'm watching Julio right now. I think Gutierrez is better than both of them. So you took Brennan Ryan for the defense. I'm taking Goody for the defense because, man, it was so much fun to watch.
All right, my next pick, Teoscar Hernandez.
Okay.
Teoscar Hernandez. Yeah. Look, it was definitely not the season that we all wanted from him. And he really struggled to hit at T-Mobile Park. He was very good on the road, though. And overall, I mean, 26 bombs, 93 RBI, 258, 305, 435, 107 WRC plus, 1.9 F4. Pretty solid season. I enjoyed overall watching Teoscar Hernandez in his 1 year as a Mariner. Yes, it was disappointing relative to expectations, but he still was a good player in his time as a Mariner. He wasn't a great player, but he was a good player. And I think he fits perfectly for what this exercise is. So Teo's my pick here. I don't know where I'm going with this next one, actually. I need to think for a second.
Just take Ryan Langerhans.
I'm taking Casper Wells. I'm gonna go with the Condor, Michael Saunders.
Another guy, if he could just stay healthy.
Yeah, but when he was fun. He was fun. Good player. Yeah, Michael Saunders is my pick. I don't know if I might be missing some guys. Who cares? I love Michael Saunders and his time in Seattle, so he's my guy here.
Sure. All right, so my last outfielder, I'm going to assume you're going to strike him, so I do have a good backup ready for you.
Okay.
Mitch Haniger, future, like...
That one's tough. That one's really tough.
It is. Because
he's like on the borderline.
I feel like if we're gonna allow Gino,
who's your backup? I just want to hear
Jose Guillen.
Yeah,
who was basically Teoscar Hernandez in like 2009.
I'll let you have Mitch. It's fine.
All right, there we go. Mitch Haniger should be in the team Hall of Fame. I don't care what you say. Next time we have Gary on, we're gonna ask him about Haniger, and we're gonna ask him about JP. And some of the more recent guys and whether or not they did enough to make the Mariners Hall of Fame. But Mitch Haniger, wildly underrated. It just unfortunately just could not stay healthy. Kind of like Goody. A lot like Goody. Just could not stay healthy.
Yeah. All right. Who's your DH?
Well, I'm not going to push my luck because I think we would both, if the other person tried to take Nelson Cruz, we would both strike that right away, right? Yeah. Too beloved, too close. So
Edgar Martinez.
Yeah. If you take Edgar, I get Nelson. But no, that's not with the spirit of the of the exercise.
This is probably where we should have taken Raul Ibanez.
Yeah, well,
but yeah, we were going to take him in an outfield spot so we could get out ahead of one another. So
my DH is somebody I never watched play, but they are kind of iconic in Mariners lore, and they did put up surprisingly good numbers when I went and I looked. I'm going with Ken Phelps.
All right, there you go.
Most famous for being traded for Jay Buhner. So famous, in fact, it made it into Seinfeld. But Ken Phelps as a Mariner hit 249, 392, 521.
Okay.
In 5.5 years with the Mariners. Like the dude was really good. I never got to see him play, unfortunately, but he could hit almost a 400 career on base. I mean, and that's pre-steroid era. That's in the early 80s. So Ken Phelps, pretty easy answer for me because I can't have Nelson Cruz. And you know who my third option was? My backup? It was Russell Branyan. So maybe I would have just taken Jose Guillen in that respect, but I'm going Ken Phelps.
Oh boy, where do I want to go with this? I kind of want to just take a weirdo, just for the sake of taking a weirdo.
You could.
I'm taking Jose Vidro, and I'm specifically taking 2000. I'm specifically taking 2007 Jose Vidro, to be clear, because 2008, yikes. 2008, yikes. 2007 Jose Vidro, though, 314, 381, 394. We'll ignore the slug.
All right, who's your pitcher?
I'm taking Cliff Lee.
Ooh, good one.
It was only 103 innings, but I'm taking Cliff Lee. He was so good in those 103 innings.
I feel like I could challenge that.
Really?
But I'm not going to, because you're not going to challenge my pick.
Okay.
Because he is arguably the most underrated Mariner in Mariners history, not named Alex Rodriguez, who is underrated because we hate him, not because he was
sure. Yeah.
It's Mark Langston.
Yeah.
Like Mark Langston isn't in the Mariners Hall of Fame. Go look at his career numbers with his team. Mm-hmm. It's laughable that he's not in the team Hall of Fame. I agree with Gary. It's time that they go back and they kind of, honor those 80s teams, those 70s and 80s teams that just there's one representative in the Team Hall of Fame from the pre-95 era. One. It's Alvin Davis. That should change. Mark Langston should be in there. I don't know about Harold Reynolds, but if you want to, fine, whatever. That's probably one of the few like Mariner Hall of Fame inductions I'm not going to, but if I happen to want to go to that game, maybe. But Mark Langston is arguably the most underrated player in Mariners history.
All right, your reliever. Actually, real quick, why were you gonna strike Cliff Lee?
Because he won Cy Youngs and he was
not with the Mariners,
time All-Star, and so what?
He was here for half a year.
So?
I think that's a perfect representation.
He was
of
the best pitcher in baseball for that half a year, and then
whatever.
he went he's a borderline Hall of Famer.
Whatever. I'm taking Cliff Lee.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't strike it, so whatever.
All right.
Also on my list, Eric Hansen, Marco Gonzalez, Freddie Garcia. There's some good ones. Reliever, I'm tempted to try and get away with Paul Sewald, but I think I'll go a little bit older. Kind of the first. I got to take my guy here. I'm taking Steve Cishek. Horribly hated by Mariner fans. Really, really good in Seattle.
All right.
Really good in Seattle. You took Jose Vidro, okay, and you're calling me out for that pick?
True.
Get out of here.
True.
Steve Cishek. And no, go look at the numbers, guys. Steve Cishek, underrated by the Mariners. You just all remember the one wild pitch he threw. Dude was really good for Seattle for about a year and a half.
Yeah. All right. Where do I want to go with this for reliever? There's a bunch of ways. I assume you would strike Jeff Nelson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Barely, but yes.
Like Edwin Diaz, you would strike. Yeah.
Munoz.
Not that I was going to go there because that's boring. That's boring.
Munoz, Brash, I'd probably strike.
And as you can tell by my list, I tried to be anything but boring with my picks there. There's a few ways that I want to go about this. You know what? Screw it. Brandon League. Give me Brandon League.
Nice.
3.42 ERA, 3.91 FIP in his first year with the M's, then a 2.79 ERA, 2.78 FIP in his second year with the M's. That was the year that he was their closer, de facto closer. He had a really nice career in Seattle.
Yeah. Anyway, some other names I considered. JJ Putz.
Yeah. I would probably strike that.
Yeah, I thought he was borderline. Yeah. Paul Sewald, also thought he was borderline. Norm Charlton.
Yeah.
Steve Cishek. Shigetoshi Hasagawa. Brandon League. David Artsma.
Yeah.
Tom Wilhelmsen.
Yeah.
There's been quite a few fun relievers, but I like those picks. So there you go.
Our catchers for me, Tom Murphy for you, Kenji Jojima. Our first baseman, Russell Branyan for me, Richie Sexton for you. Second base, Mark McLemore for you, Jose Lopez for me. Third base, Eugenio Suarez for me, Mike Blowers for you. Shortstop, Brennan Ryan for me, Carlos Guillen for you. Our outfielders, for me, Raul Ibanez, Teoscar Hernandez, and Michael Saunders. For you, it's Randy Wynn, Franklin Gutierrez, and Mitch Haniger. DHs, Jose Vidro and Ken Phelps. Our starting pitchers, Cliff Lee for me and Mark Langston for you. And then our relievers, Brandon League for me and Steve Cishek for you. That's going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. For Colby Patnode, I'm Titan Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Titan Gonzalez and Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. We're also on Blue Sky. You can follow me at TDG, Colby at MLB Colby, and the show at Locked On Mariners. You can also find us on Instagram at Locked On Mariners. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.